as always, that was a good friend of the show and our friend Colin Gow with his song Podcast, officially licensed. I am Steve Shoney, city manager for the city of Upper Arlington. I am here with my co-host and sidekick.
There you go. I'm Darren Shulman. I'm the city attorney, and I have embraced my role as sidekick.
You've fully embraced, so just don't show up in tights. That's all I'm asking.
Not that kind of sidekick, yeah.
So we are joined today by Erik Schmidt. Erik is the general manager?
That would be me.
Of Sunny 95 and several other stations
Sure.
up there. Welcome. Thanks
you
for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I'm a little bit nervous, actually.
Well, you know, we both have been.
I'm a little nervous with my radio
we've
voice.
both been working on our radio voices
Don't
today.
be. And I feel a little weird, like actually doing something like this outside of my studio. I feel like I'm cheating on my organization a little bit here. So
I, you know, just in case any of your team is listening, you did struggle to put on the headphones.
Yes,
walking in.
I will admit that. I will also openly admit I've been in radio for 22 years, and I'm not a huge fan of being on the mic. I'll be honest. That's why we hire the professionals.
That's a good answer for the team.
Yes,
that's you know that you're better behind the computer than behind the mic. So that's what they actually tell us around here too.
They said to us, but unfortunately we're not behind the computer.
Unfortunately, we don't care. So we're just still going to do this podcast. Okay, so you said you've listened to a couple of episodes.
Yes.
So we start with our start bench cut.
Well, I kind of did the 2 minutes in, 4 minutes in.
Oh, it's all good.
I'm a busy general manager, guys. I don't have time to listen to podcasts all day.
It's all good.
$14 million operation.
We're going to give you 3 people.
Okay.
And it's usually themed. We got a good one for you. And one of them you're going to start. So in this case, you'll probably put them on the air all the time.
Mm-hmm. So we ripped this off of one of the sports podcasts that I listen to. So we're going to give you 3 things that hopefully you're going to think are good.
Okay.
And you've got to decide, okay, who do I name as my starter?
Okay.
Who do I keep on my bench, and who am I cutting?
Oh, okay. Just
so they're
like
gone.
Fantasy football. I'm prepped for
Yeah,
that.
This is fantasy football.
This is
and
years
for
in
you,
the making of prep right here.
This is basically fantasy DJ.
Okay. All right.
So you're going to decide who's going to probably be on the air, who's in reserve, and who's gone.
Okay.
So, Steve, do you want to give him the 3?
Yeah, I'll give him the 3. Casey Kasem.
Casey Kasem. Okay.
Johnny Fever.
Johnny Fever.
From WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
In case people don't know, it's a little dated reference now.
Dino and Stacy.
Ooh. Well, I gotta keep Dino and Stacy. I mean, there's a reason why they've been around for so
are
long.
you starting them?
I'm gonna start them. I'm absolutely gonna start them. Man, who do I cut? I mean, those are legends. I mean, even though Mr. Fever wasn't an actual technical DJ, he still represented the brand very well. I mean, plus you're dropping turkeys out of
it's about the season for that.
And this is the week before Thanksgiving.
I'm telling you, I watch it every Thanksgiving. I think that is some of the best television ever. In that case, I gotta cut Casey Kasem.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think you broke Brian, the producer's heart, because he was
Brian.
literally recounting how he remembered Casey Kasem's lines.
I'm sorry, Brian.
So
hope we can still be friends after that.
I'm going to struggle with not putting Johnny Fever number 1, particularly this time of year.
Yeah.
Since you brought up the turkey episode.
Yeah, I
know it's your people.
I'm very loyal to my people.
I know
yes.
I know you're loyal to
And
people.
they're the only ones who are
that.
still on the air, so there's something to be said for that.
No, they're home. Dino's probably playing poker somewhere right now. So.
Well, that was great. That was a good start.
That was tough.
We try to make them tough.
That
the
was
more
tough.
you sweat, the happier we feel.
Okay.
As a radio guy, if I had to tell you to go back and listen to a couple of these, I think one of my favorite ones was Colin Gow. Colin is a good friend of ours, good personal friend of mine. He runs Colin's Coffee, and he also has been in a band for decades, a band by the name of Watershed. And and so that's Colin. He may have had something to do with the dead Schembechlers, although he will never really admit to that or not. And we gave him Guilty Pleasure Rock and made him choose between what was it, Bon Jovi, Styx,
I forget the third one.
Van Halen.
Yeah, but didn't Bon Jovi get totally pitched in the ocean? He was not even worried about that.
He I think threw up a little bit in his mouth when we said Bon Jovi. So anyway, we do try and make it a little hard, and you did pretty well. Pretty well. You gave us some. I'll give you on the loyalty, but I have a problem.
Okay, let's hear it.
With your with
Wow.
your.
This is a great way to start an interview.
Wow.
Hey, nice to meet you. I have a problem.
So I do have a problem.
Hey, I know the mayor, so I just say no. I know the Honorable Brendan King.
So he does. So what? So before we get to that, so you went to college with Brendan? Is that
I went to college with Brendan. Brendan was the president of my fraternity down at the University of Kentucky.
All right, so this is just taking a swerve, and I'm going to go there.
You going to take a left turn?
Can
take
you
a
give
left
us
turn?
something on Brendan?
I can't. You know what? I can't.
Our evaluations are coming up soon. It should be good.
I got to tell you, he is an incredible guy, and he was an incredible guy back then. I mean, the only way you can become the president of the fraternity is to be the most responsible person in the building. Let's be honest. I mean, he's a great guy. He's absolutely a great guy. And that's, I was kind of thinking about, I don't live in UA, but I've worked here for 22 years. I know you like to ask what I like about, what I like about
That'll
UA.
be last.
I know.
All right.
Okay. But I just, one of the things, okay, you know what? We'll get there.
All right.
We'll get there.
So Brendan's squeaky clean as he looks.
He is. He's just a he's a thoughtful guy. I mean, like we talk, probably not as much as we should, but I mean, we can, not connect for a year, and he knows my kids' names. I mean, he's just a great guy.
I know you have problems with him. I love Brendan.
Wait,
I know all the things that you've said about Brendan.
For the record, that's Darren that has the problem.
Yeah, this is getting really sideways fast. I was just looking for funny stories that we could hang over his head. Apparently, there are none.
No.
Like Erik is loyal to Dino and Stacy. I am loyal to our council president. I don't know what you were trying to get to, but
I'm loyal to myself, as will be revealed later.
Well, Brendan, here's the great thing about being Brendan King is you have a twin brother. So if there's anything bad that happened, it's the twin brother.
Yeah,
exactly. That wasn't me.
No.
It could have been me.
Why didn't my parents give me that? Although my brother and I,
probably,
brother and I look enough alike that he, I had the ability occasionally to blame things on my older brother because we looked enough alike that it was like, oh no, I think that was Mike that you were thinking of. We had Darren's dad on last time and made him choose between Darren and his brother.
Oh,
He chose Darren because it was his birthday. We actually
remember my brother and I were both in the fire. My daughter made it out. He made it a lot worse. He turned start bench cut into who's in the fire coming out. Like, you didn't have to do that, Dad. We could all be alive.
Yeah, he tried to let Darren burn in a fire. It was very disturbing. It explained a lot about Darren.
What's your beef, by the way?
So my beef. So here's my beef.
Sure.
So when I was growing up, I worked in department stores at Christmas.
Okay.
And so I cannot stomach Christmas music. Dude.
So you're probably not very happy that we kicked it off
on
November 1st.
You're killing me, man. What? So explain that decision making for us.
Yeah, I'll stand behind it. It was my decision. So we normally launch right the day after Thanksgiving. It's either on Thanksgiving or the day after Thanksgiving. But, the decision this year was simply because there's so much negative energy going on. I mean, just so much just negativity out there, whether it's, with politics, with, the fear of recession. There's a laundry list. I could sit here for a couple minutes and probably list them all. Christmas music, that's why I love radio, right? I could be in a horrible mood. I could kick on QFM 96. I could hear a song. I could, listen to Mix, or I could hear one song can take me from a bad mood to a good mood. And I really feel the same thing about Christmas music. I mean, honestly, I thought it might be too early, but I thought let's just go ahead and do it. And I thought I wouldn't be listening. I actually listened to it. I've got a 4-minute drive, and I had it on some Holly Jolly Christmas on my way over here. So
I'm always
it's the best medicine. It's for negativity.
How many different versions of these songs are? Like, every time I flip through the channels, I'm like, that's a new person singing that song, or a new song I hadn't heard. There's are there millions? You should know this. How many millions of Christmas songs are there?
I have no idea, but I do know we've kind of tightened our playlist this year. We're going old school, Frank, the Dean, the Bing. We've got some of the Mariah Carey stuff is, those are considered classics still, even though they've been released here recently. Yeah, it's a modern classic.
Can I have an official radio guy opinion on the Mariah Carey song? Because this is my guilty admission. It is my favorite Christmas song.
Really?
That's weird.
All I went for Christmas.
I don't know why. I can't explain
She's good. She's got pipes. Kelly Clarkson has a great song. I mean,
look, if you're my age, there's nothing wrong with Mariah Carey, man. Back in the day, she was. She was a lot.
I'm just really happy that Taylor Swift redid the Last Christmas. Wham! So I don't have to listen to Wham much anymore. I can listen to Taylor Swift now.
Yeah, see, it's the same thing. I didn't know there was multiple versions of Last Christmas.
Mm-hmm. So here's my one suggestion. So
everybody loves to give me suggestions.
Yeah, I
love
this is what you need to play on repeat.
Welcome to my job. We're going to connect really well here.
I got
it. My love for Darren, we'll leave him aside on how he feels about it. But that and our, what people tell us to do. So here's my suggestion. Mm-hmm. I have found that I apparently now have schadenfreude about two things. One is people who love the Browns and me enjoying the pain for people who love the Browns. I grew up in Cincinnati.
I'm with you. I'm a Browns and a Reds fan. I think that's my father's way of showing me how to live with disappointment.
Oh, man.
I think it was a life lesson.
Dude, I know. You got... So he gave you the worst of both. I'm so sorry.
I know.
That's tough, man.
It's a life lesson right there.
I'm here for you, brother.
Yeah.
What my suggestion is, I have found that there are some really wonderful blues Christmas songs that if you research they sound like if you just listen to the melody, it's like, but if you listen to the words, it's like made for people like me who
inappropriate,
secretly loathe Christmas music, but want to be able to tell people like my wife that, hey, let's listen to some Christmas music, because she loves Christmas music. She is very happy that you guys
good.
And it's actually more important that you make my wife happy than me. But she loves the fact that you guys have gone Christmas music all the time very early.
Well, she sounds like a very sharp woman.
She is a very bright woman.
She usually makes good decisions, except for one notable one.
Yeah, she made one notable, really bad decision about 28 years ago.
Did your brother have a girlfriend at the time? Is that why he was taken?
Zing. That was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Okay, thank you for coming, Erik. That was
it.
Can we cut that part? No, that was really well done.
Just put that on loop. So we've been joking around a little bit, but I'm fascinated by the radio industry, mostly because we're wannabe radio people, but with this podcast. But can you describe like kind of where the radio business is now? I mean, you've got the streaming, you've got iPods and face pages and my
iPods.
Yeah, I'm being old school on purpose.
That was intentional.
That was intentional, by the way.
Well, the perception is that radio is a dying medium, but that's what it is. It is a perception. So still 250 million people tune into the radio every month. That's 9 out of every 10 Americans. Radio is as vibrant as it was. I mean, we did, the pandemic hurt. It upended, people's habits and their mornings. And, we are creatures of habit. I listen to the radio as soon as I get up in the morning. I pop it on. I'm downstairs. I turn it off. My kids have another radio station on. I listen to it on the way to work. And on the way home, I just want quiet. But if I'm not going to work, or if you're not going to work, you are not. So we had to get creative. Luckily we have a lot of technology out there. Our stations have apps. You can simply say, Alexa, play Sunny 95, and boom, magically she kicks it on. We're everywhere. It's one of the things I love about Columbus and radio. Columbus is a radio town. Did you know that?
No.
It's a radio town. Why is it a radio town? It's because we are a commuter town. We have no mass public transit.
So everyone's listening in their cars.
Big people move. No big people movers. The average commute in Columbus is 22 minutes. So that means I have a shot at 40, what's about, sorry, I went to UK. What's 20, 21, 42 minutes.
Brendan always says he can't do math either. So that must be a UK thing.
That was the effects of all the bourbon.
I was going to say that, yet you still can tell me what the best bourbon is.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I like Willet is my favorite bourbon.
Okay.
And the pot's still big, nice bottle. But I did have some Pappy recently, and, it was okay.
Isn't Pappy known as being like the good stuff?
It's the most elusive. It's just the most elusive. Honestly, there's nothing. When I took a sip of it, I didn't have a revelation.
Yeah.
So finish your thought about radio, and then I want to come back to that. Because
there's a holiday shopping list.
No, but
yeah. And I'm sorry, I'm a note guy here. So again, the reason why radio does so well in Columbus, Ohio, or Central Ohio.
40 some odd minutes a day.
Absolutely. So we've got time there. But again, we're more than just in the car. But radio is the king of the dash. I mean, it is. It always has been. The perception out there is that everybody's listening to the Pure Plays, the Sirius, the Pandoras, and it really is somewhere between 3 to 5%. It's not. We're a free medium, and radio's value comes from the fact that we're local. I mean, that is something that I'm really, really proud of. We are owned by a company out of Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. It's our parent company called Saga Communications. And our whole core company philosophy is all built around local. Radio is in a time right now where a lot of the bigger broadcast companies are moving away. They're finding ways to cut costs.
Hey, I'm franchising the programs and sending them out to everybody.
Well, yeah. So, for instance, this company may have a morning drive personality in Tampa who's pretty good. He's in a certain format. It's adult contemporary or whatever. So then they take that same show and they run it across 20 adult contemporary stations that they own across the country. So what's the downfall? I mean, this guy may be funny, but there's no localness. You're not going to hear this guy talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes. You're not going to talk about local elections. So that is the philosophy that's who we are. It's giving back to the community, being there for local news, local traffic, sports. We want to hear Buckeyes. If we flipped on the radio on a Monday, on our way in and didn't hear anything about the Buckeyes, especially in football season, it'd be like a little Twilight Zone. So
it's also good to say that because when you listen to a show and you can tell they're trying to kind of maybe read some stuff to make it kind of local, but
sure.
But even their normal conversations, you're like, wait a minute, they're talking about some other city that I'm not. It permeates the whole show. You can't just cut a read in for Columbus.
They just speak in massive generalities, and we're able to take our content and go hyper local with it. The other part of that too is having local personalities. I love the fact that we have, of all the broadcast radio companies here in Columbus, we have the most local personalities pulling into our driveway every single day. They're at 4401 Carriage Hill Lane, and then leaving it, after their shift and driving home to a garage or a parking spot. It makes our stations tangible because you can see Stacy, at the grocery store. You could see Dino at the bar on Bethel Road a lot. He's a rock star, and he's the mayor. And it also allows us, and I'm sorry, I just get real passionate about what I do.
No, this is why you're on. We want to hear this stuff.
Yeah. I've been with the company for 22 years. I started off as a little junior, account executive 2020. And I know it was 2020, and I know I started right around March because I was almost fired my second day of work because the very first day I started was the beginning of March Madness. And my local sales manager at the time, this is back when the record label guys would come in and take us out to lunch, took us to BW3's, and my boss brought me a big, tall beer, and then he brought me another big, tall beer. And I look at my watch, and we got there about 11:45. It was 4:30. And, so let's just say the big guy wasn't too happy, and my second day of work, I got kind of ripped for it. And anyway, so I digress. But if I had to sit in my office all day long and negotiate spot prices and things like that, work with some of our national accounts, this would be the most boring job, honestly, in America. Again, I'm lucky to be able to get my hands around this marketplace. I'm not concerned with national scope. I'm concerned with Central Ohio. So I want to have the best radio stations, the best content, the most engagement. We want to just connect with everybody, connect listeners to our personalities who they trust, connect then our listeners to our advertisers and our partners. But what I love is what we do outside of the office. Like just for example, in the month of October, Mix 107.9 hosted a huge Mix Goes Pink event at Natalie's here in Grandview. We raised a lot of OAR came back and played for free. They're a local band, big local band.
They're like legit.
They are legit, yeah. And we raised a ton of money for the Pink Ribbon Girls, and just was able to bring some partners with us.
And Natalie's is a great venue.
Oh, it is awesome.
And not only are you supporting a great cause, but doing something to support a great local music venue.
Sure.
That you talked about it was hard on you guys during the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely.
Places that do local music took a hit. I mean,
absolutely.
Anything Woodlands, those kind of guys it's been tough.
And then family entertainment and restaurants. I mean, it was a tough time. So,
do you mind running down all the stations that you're kind of have with you? You mentioned.
Oh, absolutely, yes. So Sunny 95, we've had Sunny 95 since 1982. First song on the air was "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles. Early 2000s, we acquired Mix 107.9. Soon after that, later 2000s, we acquired WNND, which is Rewind 103.5, right. 104.3. It's 80 stations, good station. Yeah. And then, so at that time, we had 3 of these adult stations that targeted primarily women, a little bit more conservative. And then about 7 years ago, we purchased QFM 96. So now I finally have an outlet for all of those crazy promotional ideas that we couldn't do because we had Sunday 95 Mix and Rewind.
So I am proud to say that you guys are on, I think I have every single one of those on one of my presets.
Fantastic. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Look, it's didn't do it. This was not a suck up. Well, saying it was a suck up.
I'm sorry about the brother comment earlier. Now,
yeah.
So.
You're not sorry. Don't be sorry.
Yeah.
No.
How much time do you put into like that jingle thing that's like Mix 107? You know, the little, I don't know what to call. What's that? The tag
it's music imaging, positioners, they call those.
Like sometimes they get in your head and you can't get them out.
Well,
like,
we have
science behind that.
Well, I mean, yes and no. I can't speak to that as much as Michelle Matthews, who's our operations manager, or Mike Dorsey, who's a big program director in the building. But I do know to make that piece of imaging, it's multifaceted. We have actually voice talent, our station voice. Like on QFM 96, we have BC, who's got the QFM 96.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, it's just his voice is iconic. And so when we cut those things, he's got to cut it first. Then it's got to go off to another company, and they do something with it. And finally, it comes back to our production team, who puts it all nice together and makes it sound brilliant. Honestly.
So
I know it's not like the core of your station, but that's what gets into my head. Like when you.
So
hear that.
If you ever get a smooth jazz.
We had a smooth
station,
jazz, yeah.
And you need somebody. I'm great with this, especially after I've had a cold.
Jazz.
If after I've had a cold,
why don't you sell him on it? Give
him
a read.
Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
No, give him a sample.
I don't want it to sound like I'm actually like overselling it, but. Come on,
this is an audition. He's stuck. You got a captive audience.
You know what's funny? Actually, when some of our on-air personalities have a cold, they dig it. I mean, because they get all amped up because just
you get the full Barry White thing going. Yeah,
absolutely. Hey, something I was saying earlier about the mix goes pink and QFM 96 again. Back to the community stuff. Earlier this month, we have something we created called the Red, White, and Q Fund. Because again, every one of our stations, it's a mandate. It has to stand for something. So we created this fund about 6 years ago. It's a donor-specified fund that we run through the Columbus Foundation. But it's the Red, White, and Q Fund, and all of the proceeds, we basically have people submit for grants. And this year, we finally have crossed the $100,000 marker. So we've given away $103,000 to 43 local 501c3s that are either veteran supported, active duty servicemen and women supported, or first responder supported. That's the kind of stuff that's why I pull into that office every day. It's that stuff. It's not spot prices. It's that stuff. That stuff makes all that stuff happen because people see our stations out in the community, makes us tangible. But being able to give back to a community that gives so, without them, we don't have radio stations. We have to do that. Sunny 95 on Friday is doing something called it's a Day of Thanks, and it's basically to recognize our audience who over the past 36 years has donated $8 million to Children's Hospital. That's us. We created it. And again, every dollar we raise, it's mandated. It cannot leave this marketplace. I love St. Jude's, but it's not local. So our money goes straight to Nationwide Children's Hospital downtown. Our money for Red, White, and Q goes to people like Paddles for Heroes. We donated $1,800 to this local nonprofit, and it was enough to build a concrete platform next to a river and to buy an apparatus that took paraplegic veterans and put them in kayaks. The day that they had this and they showed it off, it's amazing. It's hard not to get emotional about that stuff.
Well, thank you for doing it. I love the passion. I think if you guys would just rebrand yourselves as Artisanal Radio, and throw in a little bit, some stuff that's got a little bit more crunch, you guys would have a whole new thing. We're just artisanal. That's what we do. We're not local. We're artisanal.
But this happened 2 weeks ago. Every one of my buddies, and my wife too. So everybody's got to tell me what we need to change on the radio station, right? Yeah. So my wife's like, you got to play the Porky Pig song. The Porky Pig, the blue, Blue Christmas.
Oh,
you got to play it. I'm like, I can't. It's not maybe. But I
think that's what I'll look into.
That's why, again, I have professionals that we have music testing, you know, but I'll try. I had a guy who, I'm a lacrosse guy. My kids, both my girls play lacrosse, and I've gotten to meet some really wild and crazy lacrosse parents, throughout.
Have you been over to the new court behind?
I have not. No, I try not to bring our girls to UA. It doesn't usually work out too well. Yeah. You guys got some really great programs.
Yeah. So you should bring them over and check out Sorry, I've interrupted you, but the new court that we did just behind the barn in sunny 95 Park, and I want to come back to.
Sure.
I do want to come back and have you tell a little bit of the history how that ended up with that name, but we just redid the what was originally designed as roller hockey, and we redid it as sports court, and they're doing box lacrosse there.
Nice.
And they actually had the OSU men's varsity team out there playing box lacrosse on that facility at night. It is a fantastic facility. By the way, you want to talk about some large human beings moving really fast in a small space.
Sure.
It was pretty cool. But I think if you're a lacrosse person, I think have your girls and some of their friends come out and just take sticks back there sometime.
Absolutely.
I think they'd love it.
It's right in the backyard too.
And
that's nice.
And it is very well branded so that they will know that they are on a UA lacrosse thing, because it was done, to your point earlier about great fundraising. There were a couple of former captains of the UA lacrosse team that tragically both died of the same kind of brain cancer. Wow. And it's labeled as the 3132 sports court to honor those two guys. And the community came together and said, hey, here's a couple great guys, great families had some tragedy, and we're going to come together and we're going to raise money about supporting them so that we can do some great things for our community and our kids. And so it's got a couple tie-ins, and I think, being in the park, I think it'd be a great thing for you to take a look at.
Sure. Great story, by the way. That's fantastic.
It is fantastic, and really proud of the community for coming together. I would like you to talk for a minute, though, about kind of one of the things that's a little, you don't find many municipal parks named after radio stations. I know a little bit of the story, but it was well before my time. Yeah. To what degree can you run our listeners through kind of that history?
I could take you back pretty far.
Okay.
It's funny. We have a radio station has been broadcasting out of that location since, I think it was the late 40s. We actually have a picture of, I've taken from a helicopter or something, but it literally looks like a concrete square, a big tower, and then literally surrounded by cornfield. Okay, so that was the late 40s, maybe early 50s. The houses started going up around late 60s, 70s. So we kind of, they kind of came in. So it's weird when I tell people, and I tell them, hey, come to our studio, you can record or we can meet. And a lot of times they'll call and go, hey, I'm lost. I'm back in some neighborhood. I'm like, guys, it's cool. We were here first. Yeah. But yeah, so again, then Arlington kind of grew. I mean, Greensview, gosh, that school looks beautiful. I mean, absolutely beautiful. So, many years later, here we are. We're sitting on pretty much like the last 11 acres of undeveloped land in Upper Arlington, And, I mean, I used to go out there and hit golf balls, and I could bring my driver out and just smack them. And I'm a horrible golfer, that so.
Yeah. You need a lot of space.
I'm not hitting 330 or anything like that. Horrible slice too.
So the people who were most in danger were not the people where you were aiming as too much.
Nobody was in danger.
Yeah.
Nobody was in danger. But my company, we had some developers that wanted to put other houses up there and just kind of squeeze us in more. I mean, it was obviously our land. But I had a general manager and a CEO at the time that said, no, I think it's be best if we work something out with the city of Upper Arlington. Let's turn it into park space. And this, they honored us by putting Sunny 95. I think my GM at the time said, we'll do it, but I want it to be the Sunny 95 Park, which whatever.
You can never rebrand, by the way, now, because
no,
Sunny 95, or otherwise the park will make no sense.
Well, but the other thing too is, and again, I think about these things, but if something bad ever happened there, Sunny 95 Park, I was like, did anybody ever think about that part? But luckily, we're in a very, very safe community, and the chances of that happening there are probably pretty bad, or pretty
small.
You know what I mean? Small. There we go. Jeez.
Well, and
thanks for thanks for saving me there, Darren.
Yeah, so that's what I'm here for.
Yeah,
it is great to have you there. It is great to have you kind of operating a business. And look, I'm sure it's not something that folks thought about entirely when they said, hey, let's put a park around there.
Mm-hmm.
But, I know it does take some patience from you guys in terms of, I know sometimes our residents forget as they're rushing to get their kid to soccer practice.
I know where you're going with this.
And I'm going to say it so you don't have to say it, because this is Upper Arlington residents. If you are going over to Sunny 95 Park and you need a parking space, please be exceptionally respectful of the fact that that is still private property there. That is the radio station's parking lot. It is not the city's parking.
Yeah.
The radio station's parking lot is the radio station's parking lot.
Correct.
The park's parking lot is the park's parking lot.
Yes.
And you guys have been very gracious. I know occasionally, I'm sure it's actually people from Dublin who are coming in for games. It's not Upper Arlington residents.
Dublin.
It's got to be.
It's got to be Dublin.
It's Dublin, maybe Hilliard people.
Yeah.
If there's New Albany teams coming in, I'm sure it's the New Albany people.
If there wasn't such thing as liability, we actually had somebody a few years ago claim to have fallen in our parking lot and
that they weren't supposed to park in.
And they weren't supposed to park in, and so. It's tough. We try to be super nice when people, park back here and explain why. And, I feel bad doing it. And most everybody's usually very cordial and says, okay, thank you. Some aren't, but, it's okay.
But this is not Eric telling you not to park. This is me telling you, guys, come on. Really?
I'm in the business of making people feel good.
Yeah.
I don't want to come out and tell you that, we're going to tow your car, which we don't tow. I'll let you know that right now.
But be nice. Be good neighbors. So, all right, bourbon.
Yes.
Are you a straight or on the rocks only, or will you mix your bourbon?
I'm a totally neat bourbon. No ice. Maybe, if anything, maybe a drop of water.
So do you think less of me as a human being because I actually like to mix my bourbon?
No.
Okay.
I think everybody has the opportunity to drink it however they want.
All right. Cool.
Yeah. But what's funny? So when Brendan and I went to school there, bourbon wasn't even.
No.
Yeah. I think what did I drink? It was the horrible stuff. I think I drank Jim Beam.
I thought you were going to say beer.
Well, yeah. There was a little bit of natural light.
I was going to say, is it Natty Light? You're in college, right?
You went to OU. I know you.
You're not drinking Pappy in college.
It was Busch Light back in the day. Thank you very much. I was far more sophisticated than Natty Light.
The old Milwaukee, is that a thing back then?
Old
the Beast.
Oh, the Beast. Yeah.
Milwaukee's Beast.
The Beast.
So I try to think that I don't allow myself that much snobbery. But the phases of snobbery that I've gone through is I went through some wine snobbery and then beer snobbery, and now I've turned into really enjoying making bourbon cocktails.
Yeah.
And that's my latest snobbery.
Just no bourbon and Coke, man. That's
no.
Yeah,
I
an old fashioned, or something with some bitters.
An old fashioned. There's a great drink called a Poison Arrow. Which,
I tend not to drink liquids with poison in the name, but sorry.
It just
here, Darren, drink some poison. You're a lawyer. No, thank you. I'm going to pass on.
You know what? This is a poison that I will bring to you when I want something from you, not when I'm ready to kill you.
Thank you.
If I give you two of these, and I'll get whatever, you'll sign whatever I want you to sign.
Will there be a waiver involved? Does that involve a waiver?
Not that I need for legal liability, unless I need it for legal liability, and he would not otherwise approve it, because two of these, and he'll approve anything that I want. Yeah.
What is in this Poison Arrow? Do I want to ask?
So it's bourbon, orange bitters, regular bitters, and then a little bit of Campari, and a little bit of something called China China, which is a French version of an orange liqueur.
Okay.
So it's kind of got and then a little spritz of orange on top. It's kind of got a little bit of a orange that goes with your bourbon. It's pretty.
You know what would make that a really great drink? And they do this at 16-bit. Just take a popsicle and put it in it.
So
don't you think?
So with the best, man. with the caramel, their caramel popsicle one, it's pretty similar to that without the caramel popsicle.
Okay, so yeah,
I pour bourbon in a cup.
No, I can do it.
Yeah,
room temperature or cold?
Neat. Yeah,
no,
room temperature. Yeah.
I can't do it neat. I gotta have. I'll do it with a nice bourbon with a big. I'll do the big cube. I can't do a whole lot of.
Gotcha.
Gotcha. That's my other way to do it.
Well, I think it's just the years of why. My my mom's side of the family is all from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
So watching grandparents and family members have their little bourbon nightcapper at night, and there's been rumors that there might have been a little bit on my pacifier. Well, so maybe that's why I choose to drink it neat and not cold. I preferred it back then, room temperature, as a baby. So stuck with it.
So this is probably the most important question. Steve was trying to pitch you on his radio voice, but Brian and I want to pitch you on a show where you have a communication guy and a lawyer guy talking about whatever you want us to talk about. To fill some crucial 4 to 4:30 a.m. time slot.
And then you have a sidekick named Steve.
Well, we were thinking this is a chance for the sidekick to emerge, and like both sidekicks and radio operators kind of come out to their own audience.
So, but here's the issue: would you have guests?
I mean, we just got to get in the door first. The format is definitely open for discussion.
Because if you'd have guests, you would be completely lost because you can't.
I can't book anybody.
Dude, in our 9 months of doing this now, actually 10 months of doing this now, you have not booked a single guest.
I haven't even booked my own dad.
No, you didn't even book your own dad. I booked your dad. So we went in and we interviewed Coach Holtman. It was awesome. Yeah. It was wonderful. And we're waiting in the lobby, and this gentleman walks out. He's like, "Oh, hey, Darren, how are you doing?" "Oh, yeah, hey, we're doing well. We're actually here to do a podcast interview with Coach Holtman." He's like, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm going to go get in some work with the ladies." And we looked at Darren and we're like, "Darren, is that who we think it was? You want to tell him who it was?"
It's the women's basketball coach McDuff.
Yeah.
He's my neighbor. Steve's like, "You didn't tell me who's your neighbor. Why have we booked him?" I was like,
"So he's his next door neighbor." I had to go through. I practically begged Bill Hoskett to set us up with Holtman, and like worked it. Darren lives right next to this guy. He can't even book him. I mean, you're gonna put this guy on the radio, and he can't. Now, on the other hand, I've got, I think, a pretty good radio voice. And
this is where the behind the music, where the schism happens, and we hit rock bottom, and then we'll reform in 20 years to redo the podcast.
Though, but there is something to be said. Like, I refuse to do business with friends. Like, maybe it kind of falls in that basket. If something goes drastically wrong, you're neighbors. You don't want to ruin the relationship.
Yeah, we don't ruin the relationship with her over this podcast. He might come on and say, "I can't live next to you anymore because you asked me this hard start bench cut. I can't live here." How dare you? That was really hard. Yeah. So how do you pick on-air talent besides us two that we've just got a tacit agreement to? I mean, how do you decide who's going to?
Well, I've been extremely lucky to have inherited some of the best talent. Dino, Stacy, Jerry Elliott, Torg. I mean, but that's something. It's funny. I'm dealing with this stuff now because Jerry Elliott, I love him, but he's no spring chicken. And at some point here in the distant future, still. We're going to have to find a replacement,
So you're saying there's a chance.
There we go, Darren. There we go, Darren. So, we'll cross that bridge when it happens. But it will be tough because, he's been on the station for over 30 years. I mean, I'll never forget when I came back from Lexington, Kentucky. I wanted to stay in Lexington. I did not want to come back to Columbus, but there was one advertising firm, and I get in there, and 70 of my recently graduated brethren are in there, and I saw the one guy who was the smartest kid in my class, and I'm just like, I'm not getting this job. So I'm on my way back. I worked for about a year and a half at a really cool boutique advertising agency. And then realized I didn't want to sit in an office all day. I'm talking to these. I was basically the opposite of what I do. I was a buyer. I bought for Saks Fifth Avenue. I had $1 million. I spent money in buying radio and TV. And I'm talking to these radio and TV reps that, I call them and I say, "Hey, I need this." And somebody said to me, "Well, I'm finishing up a round of golf." I'm like, it's 11 a.m. on a Tuesday. Tell me more. So anyway, I interviewed. I got the job with Sunny 95, my mom's favorite radio station. So I came home. I told her. She was so happy until she realized she couldn't win anything anymore because now I'm employed. Fast forward many, many years, we acquired QFM 96. I remember I was born in 75. I remember 77. I mean, I was really young, sitting on the floor. My dad had QFM on, and some Led Zeppelin song was playing on it. It freaked me out. But my dad's, had a relationship with that station since, the late 70s. Told him, hey, Dad, we're buying QFM 96. And my dad, oh, my God, it's amazing. So, it's, but yeah, so that's something we're going to have to, it's going to be tough to work on trying to find another personality to come in. How do you replace a Jerry Ellett? How do you replace a Stacey McKay? You know, it's all of that trust, all of the relationships that they've built with all of, you know, these hundred thousands of listeners. It'll be tough, but we'll figure it out.
And people do get this kind of weird, I won't say weird, but they have that kind of relationship with the person that they're just listening to every day.
Sure.
You almost feel like your family. It sounds weird, but like you listen to them every day for 20 years and you hear all their stories they're talking about and you kind of feel like you know them even though you've never met them.
Sure.
So it's got to be hard to replace.
Yeah, I mean, but that's it's the nature of the beast. I mean, but I think that's one of the reasons why I love having the local content, the local personalities, is because simply you build a bond with them. I'll never forget being in, I think I was 7 or 8 years old. Are you guys from Columbus? I mean, you guys grew up here? Cincinnati, okay. Oxford, okay. So 6 or 7 years old, I'm listening to the station, I think it was called 92X.
Oh, I know 92X.
92X.
That's down in Oxford.
Well, there was a 92X here too.
Oh, sure. Okay, sorry.
Okay, that's all right. But every Friday night from 7 p.m. to midnight was Susie Wad. Okay, do you remember Susie Wad? Oh, yeah. And I mean, it's funny. I was not meant to go into radio. I wanted to go to law school. I wanted to be you, Darren.
I think you might have made the right choice.
Yeah, well,
sounds cooler than mine.
But I'll never forget being 7 years old and literally burning up my phone line, calling it a 92X at 7 to request Duran Duran.
Wow.
Every Friday.
You just needed to request them that bad that you called in?
Yeah. I was like the first kid on my block with MTV. I was a child of the 80s, man. I mean, 80s music was huge. But Duran Duran was massive. But I had that relationship with her. And then I got to meet her, you know, a couple years down the road. Really, really cool, you know.
So I probably still have somewhere in a box somewhere a WEBN T-shirt with a frog.
WEBN frog was huge.
I don't know. So rock and roll in Cincinnati, it was all about WEBN.
Okay, they're still around.
Yep.
I'm sure. Okay.
Yep. So here's my question for you. Now that I'm listening to this conversation, so what do we need to do to up our number of listeners? I mean, we've been hovering around 15 for a while.
You got to have a big stunt, man. Like I got it. Darren lives on a billboard for like 30 days.
Oh, I actually have to live on it, not like my picture lives on
Yeah.
it.
No.
And can he work up there too?
Yeah. I mean, today's modern technology,
we're,
absolutely.
We're doing some renovations here. You don't have an office right now.
So, yeah. Somebody actually did that, didn't they?
Yeah. Oh, that's been recreated so many times.
Is there room at the top of your tower? Can we just stick them up on? Can we stick them up on the tower?
You know, I have trouble letting people park in my parking lot.
Like I live on your tower. Yeah. I would be willing to live on the billboard if I could like come down and shower every once in a while. Like, is that part of the deal, or you get pretty ripe up there?
I'm sure you get pretty ripe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to live up there till like the Browns win or something. That could be like a long.
I think I think we need would a T-shirt cannon be good? Would you recommend to Brendan that he buy us a T-shirt cannon?
It just depends on where you're firing that. I mean, there's only one guy out in the lobby when I got here.
I was like, "Here's your cannon." You could have just handed it to me, sir.
Actually, we'll give it to you. We'll load it with T-shirts, and you can fire it at people who are parking in your parking lot.
There we go.
That's a collab.
We could definitely do some. So our collab is basically probably going to benefit us more than any publicity we get. You don't need, but we would love it.
All right, we've gone on for long enough. We've digressed into shooting T-shirts to try and we've hit a low. I think we might have hit a new low. So we've just said
I'm so glad I can help you be that guy.
So because we've just said that in order to promote ourselves, we're either going to stick you on top of his tower, or we're going to shoot our residents with T-shirts,
which they could then keep.
So clearly, we need to go back to the drawing board somewhere on this. But I do want to come back around to the two questions we ask everybody. And with you being a member of the community, kind of in the business sense, and also, I do really love the sense of community, both for the broader Central Ohio community you talked about. That's absolutely fantastic. But the two questions we ask everybody are: what do you love about UA, and what would you change?
Love about UA. I grew up in Westerville. I live in Blacklick. My business takes me to pretty much every community in Central Ohio. when I think of UA, I think of that simple word, community. I mean, you can see it, you can feel it simply by talking to someone who's lived here. There's so much pride in this community. It's a great place to raise a family, and I see that in the examples of all my friends that I met at college, that are from UA, that are back here, and they're raising their families here. I mean, it's a wonderful community that I truly think's, I think that you guys do a really great job of taking care of your community. It's a very clean community. Got lots of great amenities. I'm a little jealous because I don't have those in Blacklick. We're working on it. I need a box lacrosse field. But this is just a tremendous community. And I'm happy to be a part of it in the business sense. And again, I'd be lying to say if it wasn't a tradition for my family to come to the Chef O'Net a lot.
Nice. Yeah. So what would you change?
Change. I had to think about this.
He's got notes.
I got
things to say.
I did.
He did do research. He did more research for this than we did.
My first note was, what's up with all the street legal golf carts?
Yes, that's it. Brendan.
Did you know that's Brendan's
It's his pet peeve.
Like, does every citizen get one?
So Brendan doesn't mind. This is really funny. One of your frat brothers had to put you up for this. No, Brendan doesn't mind the street legal ones. What happens on the 4th of July with the craziness that happens there, next time you talk to him, he listens.
I will tell you, Brendan had nothing to do with it. It's just me cruising through and noticing
the
insane amount of street legal golf carts in Upper Arlington.
So it is. I don't have an issue with the golf carts. I get it. These guys will tell you I get a little feisty about scooters, but the golf carts, the golf carts don't bug. So are you just bothered by? Are you just strangely troubled by them, or do you have a real issue with it?
You know what? I almost hit one.
Okay.
That could have been maybe my fault. But
as you're not attorney, I would recommend you not admit that.
We'll cut that one out. I wasn't expecting it.
Was it in the parking lot?
No, I was somewhere. I have a really good friend that lives here. We were heading over to his place for our fantasy football draft, and I literally got passed by 8 of them, and it was just
I
weird.
am strangely concerned by them as well. Can I put my finger on it? No, but that's that doesn't seem right.
But I have an idea.
Okay.
All right.
This could be your marketing opportunity for the show.
Tell us more.
Well, you can get those things wrapped, just like we wrap our station vehicles. Yeah.
But won't you be our neighbor golf
cart that we use to go to meetings around town?
You could take the podcast mobile too.
It's done. The budget has not been passed yet. We still have time.
Yeah. So
what's this line item in there for golf cart wrapping?
But Brendan's going to see golf cart, and he's just going to vote it down. So you were close.
Yeah.
But I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We're on to something. So it's not going to be a golf cart. It's not going to be a scooter. We'll figure it out.
We got to wrap. So how much does it? You probably wrap stuff for the station, right?
Yeah.
How much is it to do that?
Well, luckily we work with a company called IMS, and we do some trade. So yeah, International Monetary Systems.
It's not like $1 million or anything.
No, I think it's maybe for a large van, depending on how if you get it 100% wrapped.
I mean, we could.
$8,000, $7,000.
We could trade. I mean, they would.
So a golf cart's got to be $2,500.
If we promoted it on the podcast, I'm sure that would be worth.
If you want
at
to wrap
least as much as promoting it on Sunny 95. I mean.
Yes, the listenership is roughly equivalent. I think.
We may not have as many listeners, but our listeners are Upper Arlington listeners, which means they're a far higher quality.
Hyper local.
Hyper local.
I can tell you exactly who they are.
You
it's
put
my dad.
Put the
your
hyper
dad,
local.
my wife, Brendan. And
hey, you've got a.
And your wife might listen today because it's.
You've made a fan out of me today. I will not actually skip through every 3 minutes. I might actually listen to one in entirety.
All right.
So the other thing, my other note was just that the girls' youth lacrosse program needs to relax a bit because they're good. Just take a season off, ladies. Spread
it around.
Yeah. People around here love their lacrosse.
Oh,
and I got to tell you, my kids don't play, and they're both are boys, and they're both sports obsessed. And the one thing that I'm disappointed in is that they didn't play lacrosse as much as they should have, because it's a fantastic game.
I'm absolutely infatuated with it. I mean, I played soccer and baseball. Yeah. And let's face it, if soccer and baseball had a baby, it'd be lacrosse.
Yeah.
That's a fair
fair
description.
Honestly. And kid came home, the oldest daughter came home from first or second grade, and they had a thing at school where you could choose between 80 activities and learn about things. And I said, why don't you try lacrosse? And she came home all stoked, went out, bought her a stick, got her involved. She played second grade, and then played third grade, and then didn't have a fourth grade coach. So
Papa stepped up.
But I was voluntold, actually.
Yeah.
I was voluntold. So, but anyway, I had to learn. In fact, the guy that I coached with was a starting middle linebacker for Ohio Northern football, and I played baseball and soccer. So who better to take over a girls' youth lacrosse team than us two idiots? But anyway, absolutely love it, and actually coached third, fourth, fifth, sixth. I'll be coming back to coach a little bit. My youngest is still finishing up. She'll be in sixth grade, so I'll one more year with her. But I love it. I love it. I mean, I watch the guys play. It's a little barbaric. But the girls, it's finesse. I mean, it's moving the ball around. You had asked me one of the questions, what's my favorite sport, or what do I like watching? I loved watching the USA Women's Lacrosse, the big world tournament they just had. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, there is a solution to this.
What's that?
Cut your commute.
Cut my commute. Move into UA. Move into Brendan. Does he have room up top his garage?
We can commit to that.
His
couch.
Yeah. I mean,
we're his agents in a way.
I mean, Will's 18 months. His son's 18 months from moving out.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
There we go. Well, my wife and I renovated a really nice farmhouse out in Blacklick. I don't know if she'd.
It's pretty nice out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to be living on a billboard, so you can have my house, I guess.
Throw you some Jimmy Johns.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
We're done. Hey, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Great meeting.
This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah. This is awesome. I love it. I like talking about radio, but I like this just real life, man. Good stuff.
We're happy to have you on.
We would love to help you in any way possible.
Any way that we can be helpful to the radio
station.
Including
the 4:30 a.m. slot.
And that's right. Now for this message from our sponsors.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Thank you. All right. Take care.